Hi guys, this is Charlie with Boxing Focus. So Broner's got a problem. It's the title of the video. We'll get to that in a minute. I didn't have time to make a prediction video. I've not had that much time lately, but I probably would have edged towards Broner in this had I made one. I'll be honest. I would have gone the wrong way. The reason being, Broner's the more talented fighter between him and Sean Porter. He's faster. He understands boxing more. He's got better skills. He should have beaten Sean Porter, but he does have a big problem, and the problem he has is that he fights his opponent's fight. He does it almost every single time, especially at the higher weight limit of welterweight compared to down at 130, where perhaps his size made a bigger difference. Well, not even perhaps, definitely. But at welterweight, he just fights at the pace of his opponent. He fights at the distance that his opponent wants to fight. There's only really Molina Jr. who kind of had no answers, none at all, for Broner's skills, where Broner got to do what he wanted. This fight was an exercise in frustration for the viewer. The referee was dreadful. Why wait until the 10th round to take a point? The holding was ridiculous. He should have been taking points in like the second round or the third round. It was non-stop. It was such a messy fight. Porter is he's a great athlete. He's strong, he's fit, he's determined. You can't turn him back. But he's just not that great a boxer. For all his bluster in this fight, his best, most effective punch was basically his jab, which he was using just to kind of come in behind, because Broner's head movement wasn't that good. And really, Broner was gifting Porter a way to close the distance as well by just standing there straight up and not countering with the right hand. What Broner was doing, and whoever formulated this game plan for him is a boxing moron, was he was trying to counter Porter's charges with a left hook. Well, the problem with that is, if you just think about it, if you just think about the angle of it, the left hook is coming from basically a 90-degree angle to the direction from which Porter's moving. That makes it really hard to time. That makes it really difficult to time it. If it's not the same height, if it's not on the correct trajectory to meet Porter as he comes forward, and if Porter's hand has to be down, bearing in mind, so I guess he's trying to anticipate the right and come over the top of the right hand. It's just a very, very difficult punch to land, especially if you're also having to deal with the jab, which Porter's coming in behind. The way to stop a guy bum rushing you is you drop a right hand down the pipe. Floyd Mayweather does it. He's done it his entire career. It's fucking boxing 101. A guy's coming at you, straight punches are the answer, not punches from the side. It blows my mind that he had this game plan. It was so stupid. If a guy's coming in low, use uppercuts. If a guy's coming straight, use straight punches. If a guy's trying to slip out to the side, then come round the side. You use his movement. You use the punch with the correct angle to meet his movement head on. That's how you stop people moving in the direction that they're moving. You don't try and come from a right angle where you've got to get the timing, the precision absolutely perfect. It was a dreadful game plan. We barely saw Broner. You throw a right hand straight down the middle, and the right hand you can slip inside the jab and throw it. Broner, and the thing is, when Broner's putting stuff together, he looks phenomenal. He wasn't leading in this fight. He was constantly trying to counter. Which, when Porter's trying to close the gap and you counter him with the wrong punches, there's no space for it. And then on the inside, he was more bothered. He was more concerned with tying up Porter, which meant that he had no offense at all on the inside because his arms were occupied. He was squared up because he had to be squared up to Porter in order to grab both arms. When do you see Mayweather grabbing both arms of an opponent? No, what he does is he turns to the side. He puts his left shoulder in his opponent's face, his left forearm in his opponent's face. He uses his right hand to make sure that his opponent can't kind of club him with a left. So and then he waits for the gap and then he counters with uppercuts and straight punches. He uses the angles. That's why the shoulder roll works. Broner's using the shoulder roll on the outside and coming in and squaring up on the inside. It's completely contradictory. And the thing is, when he's putting his boxing skills together properly, you can see that he's got phenomenal talent. But then when he does that, you think, how fucking stupid are you? He could easily have been picking Porter off on the inside and minimising the punches that Porter was landing. Porter, for all his fitness and strength and aggression and determination, just isn't a good boxer. His punch selection is horrible. He barely uses angles. His head movement's pretty crap. All Kell Brook was doing was timing Porter with straight punches because Kell Brook knew what he was doing, timing Porter on the way in. Broner needs a better trainer. He needs somebody who understands the fundamental angles of boxing, of punching, of what to do when an opponent is using certain tactics against you. This was not a difficult fight for Broner to win. It really wasn't. He should have won this fight. Porter did best he could, considering the messiness of the fight. I don't think Porter could have done much differently, and the only person who could have changed the outcome of that fight would have been Broner. I don't think Porter could have won it any more decisively than he did, and it wasn't a particularly it was. There were several close rounds, but those close swing rounds, you could call them, it was difficult to give them to Broner because Broner was barely doing anything. So it wasn't a controversial decision. It was easily Porter from anything from 2 to 4, maybe 6 points. The 118. 1-1-10 scorecard was disgusting. Judges like that there doesn't seem to be any process. This is a whole other discussion, but there doesn't seem to be any process for eliminating crap judges from the sport. That's something for another time, but getting back to Broner and Porter, it was very frustrating to watch because the fight was such a mess, partly because of the inept job of the referee, but partly because Broner he didn't seem to know what he was doing, and that surely falls back on his trainer, on his corner. They're obviously not doing their jobs. They obviously don't know enough about boxing to put together a good game plan for Broner, because he was the one that was showing that he had the talent. When he finally took charge, there was 2 rounds where he came out and took charge. It was the 7th round, and he won that 7th round decisively, which is why the 1-1-8, 1-1-10 scorecard was bullshit. It was unequivocal, that 7th round. And then the 12th round, he comes out, he's leading, and he knocks Porter down. All he had to do was throw before Porter was throwing, instead of waiting on him and trying to counter him from the wrong angle, which he was doing for the other bloody 10 rounds of the fight. It was a crap fight. Very frustrating to watch because of how can I say it? The poor boxing decisions, the poor ring IQ on display. Anyway, this is Charlie of Boxing Focus. Let me know what you thought of the fight. Thank you for listening.